In my experience, as long as you choose the market correctly and the product that you're trying to put into that marketplace is the right one, your margins are generally better than they are domestically, as long as you've covered all of the bases in terms of freight, packing, finance, all of the things that you need to build in.
Probably the first issue is exchange rate risk, depending on the currency and how you're quoting. Assuming it's not in sterling, you obviously automatically have a risk there and costs associated with converting that currency. Second to that, you have the risk of or the delay in payment. Many overseas markets have longer payment terms. Not in all cases, but it's something to consider that you may receive payment in the UK a lot prompter than you would overseas.
Exchange rate actually doesn't have an impact on our business because we set our prices in pounds, and so then people pay whatever the rate is, we are paid a certain level of pounds. We haven't had any problems with people paying in sterling either, actually. And I think, again, that's got a lot to do with the internet. So the internet is really key part of the way that we're looking at developing our business in the future. And so, changing money and doing that by being online is so much easier now. And I think people maybe don't think about the difference in currency in perhaps the way they used to.
I was having a conversation with a client of mine who, up till now, has only sold direct to consumers from the internet or from Amazon in the UK and shipped a few things abroad. And he works on good margins, but he's decided, first of all, that he wants to sell through retailers, and secondly, that in other markets outside the UK, he will need distributors. So there was just him and the consumer before, and now there are two other people taking margin out of that. So he really needs to sit down and do those sums very, very carefully.
They may decide that if they need to service their market, they may decide to appoint an agent or a distributor that is able to do that in market for them. If they need to service the market and they need that after-sale support, for example, it may well be that the agent or the distributor commands a higher profit margin than they would normally, so they need to sort of build that in. If, however, they are going to provide the customer service direct from the UK, then that's obviously an additional responsibility and cost that the company needs to organise here.
We've never really followed the distributorship model, which is very, very standard in the metals industry, that you have a range of distributors. But I did some sums early on when we first started out and realised that it actually is cheaper in the long run for us to employ people than to pay commissions. And the amount of money that you lose and business that you lose by not having control over what your distributors are doing has led us to have our own employees in markets.
I had a company who worked in the domestic market, and their product wasn't seen as the most prestigious one, but by doing the correct research and answering a need in a different market, was able to position themselves as a superior product.
I would say that there is possibly even a majority of British companies that actually, when they look at the overseas market, where they really have a unique selling point is the fact that they are British. That might be their creativity, their design, their innovation, but that they perhaps take for granted in the UK market, or they haven't distinguished enough. But certainly when it comes to the overseas market, their competitive advantage is the fact that it is a British product, and therefore they can enhance that aspect of the product or service.
The way you use a product here might not be the same way it is used somewhere else. And it might become very important to that market. If they don't have it, you could then turn possibly into a niche market or a very premium brand somewhere else. British products are normally very well perceived, but in some markets also a product with a premium price will be sought after, because if you pay the price, then you get the best you could expect.